somehow managed to find a comp that has more utility than what they had before.
I can understand the change out of Raze because of Breach's buff. He's in a very strong position right now, but the fact that they've gone for an Astra here as well, that's definitely a completely left field play. Now, Magnum, right off the bat, is holding for the control down middle. G2 push, they gain the control, but they fall on back afterwards, content with what they've spotted. One guy outside of A, and they don't want to overstay their welcome and end up getting crunched in on. This then poses a question. For G2, what do? You have 3 players stacked up on A, and your B guys are just sitting ducks. Do they take the control? It looks like they're going down Bats for the ult orb, but that means now the pressure is on for these 2 B holders. They're not going to have support at all. No reinforcements on the way.
It's going to take them a little while at least, and they're going to need the remaining players to try and delay. Look at all the utility just obliterating Mixer at the back of the site. Didn't really stand a chance there. Now, it does look like maybe the initial throw might have gone a little bit astray, but it doesn't really matter too much on the side of Fnatic. They've got themselves the site. The remaining 4 players are completely isolated. You can see a blast back going in to try and clear some of the closer angles, but realistically, getting back in on that choke is going to be very difficult.
Yeah, Boaster up on top is not going to last all too long in this one, and Fnatic, they quickly crumble.
Okay.
G2, all the kills roll in their way. Durka wants to go out of that smoke. They could be defusing, but they're content to just leave it because the snake bite's in play. But now the 1v1 develops. Durka spotted inside of Hookah. He wants to swing on this. He spotted the player isn't defusing. Now the tap comes in, but Durka's already out wide, taking it 1-0. Fnatic put the first on the board. Oh, even a little bit of disrespect from Durka. They're not holding back.
You know, it's that matchup, isn't it? Like this matchup goes throughout games. Like this isn't just a one-off thing that is just like, oh yeah, this is a cool thing that's happening in Valorant right now. No, this goes back many a year to this rivalry, both between the organizations and I'm sure the player themselves. And with the amount of, I guess, money that's been spent by G2, this is the team that they're looking to beat. One of them at least. We know FPX can always compete when it comes to Europe at least. Oh, I thought for a second he was going to get away with that one. Doma runs past, but Durka, he's got eyes in the back of his head, Mitch.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's a little bit of nasty aim from Doma to shut down the push of the pistols up close, and so far, no losses for Fnatic. Doma, 20 HP, still challenging. There's a weapon dropped. But, of course, when your teammate's got that ghost, he can just upgrade for free. It's not the biggest of deals. We'll see if Kellogg's can get that extra bit of damage and really make it worthwhile in this round. Oh, that's gorgeous. Okay, already a successful round considering what they brought in. Anything from this point forward would be a huge bonus, but it would have to be a headshot from Kellogg's on 34 HP. He'll be quickly dealt with. And indeed he will.
He's someone I'm very excited to see a little bit more from, because obviously over the last few days, he's been someone that I guess was brought into this roster as of very, very recent, in fact. Only on the 25th was he actually officially announced, and then it was almost one of those things where we realized that Pith had actually gone. Now, I do wonder if that was something to do with that maybe they were practicing a little bit beforehand, and this was almost just like a reveal to the rest of the world, because I would be more shocked if Mixwell just in this short amount of time had then gone, no, it's fine, I'll just Sentinel now. Like, that would be much weirder than this being something preemptive. But the fact that Mixwell has fallen back to that role means that this guy is something special.
Tom, you're going to have to give me a quick second here because a little bit of a tech issue. So you just take over for this one, and hopefully I'll get this resolved.
Okay, all good. 1 minute 20 on the clock. Of course, this is where we start to see some investment. Hello. That is an aggressive push. Already coming in from behind, and they can just lock them in. They know that they're not going towards the B site anymore, and you've got yourself that Sage Wall just blocking them in. This gives Kellogg's a lot more time to try and rotate in on that flank, and basically just find out everything to do with this squad. In fact, if he picks off maybe Boaster, Doma, that's some of the utility gone, especially for those afterplants. Even better, I guess, if he takes down Mystic, and then there's no more Viper utility. He can already see some of it being lined up. First, it will go his way. Seekers even popped just to give the rest of his teammates, and he's just taken over this round. Already coming up with 2 kills, a Vova alongside to clean things up, and now Durka, he needs a miracle. But this is exactly what this man can pull out. A 3rd kill already in this round, a rifle to be retrieved, and you know what? He has the spike. he could actually just fall back to the other side of the map. Maybe get himself the plant. The rotation pretty quick from Coldamenta, and the shock dart at least them down a little bit more. He's already going to get that 1v1 Coldamenta, maybe taking a little bit of a risk, but it will eventually be closed out by G2. Far more costly than they probably would have liked, but you know what? They get the job done.
Well, Tom, we're all good to go here on my side at long last. Apologies for that, but thank you for taking us through. At this point, G2, they're bouncing in. That's what we want to see. When you've got those rifles out, your opponents play the bonus. It's fair. Now the full buy comes out on both sides. This is where things can get a little bit scary. Also, you notice that we mentioned G2 in the pistol round. They went for that control over bat. They went for the ult orb. Avova at this point just one away from claiming the orbital strike. That could be incredibly valuable over on the defender side. We'll see how that one pans out, because coming into this round, I imagine he's going to have it online as, again, they just push down inside bat and get that orb up.
Yeah, obviously that round, it was looking very good for G2, but you have to now consider that they lost quite a few weapons in a round that was still a bonus for Fnatic. So Fnatic will be pretty happy with that in the end. If it had been 4 players alive, maybe not so much, but they get a plant, 3 kills, and force a lot of repurchase, which I think mean there's now a couple of SMGs on G2's side as well. We've already seen a bit of a challenge of some of the utility put down by Mixwell. Not just going to allow him to hold that space for free. And they're going to send in the Hawk as well to try and find out an extra little bit of information, but I don't think they got anything from it.
Right here.
No, it doesn't look like it. There's a gap in that wall, and I thought Coldamenta was about to peek it, but he falls on back, playing with that weaker weapon of the Spectre. You want to be holding the close range angles in through the TP. They go, and Mixwell actually gets caught off guard. The Viper now down, but Coldamenta, quick to pull it back, manages to avoid the aftershock, and now he's just tucked inside. A thorn in the side if you want to move into Hookah. Kellogg's good for one to flash out, but Hookah's already been obtained, and he almost gets dropped because of it. Magnum and Mystic make sure it happens in the end. Now the site is theirs. The plant can come in, but the orbital strike still online. Could be massive, and here it comes. All down from the sky as Mystic swings to try and deal with Avova. He can't get it done, and there's barely any time to get a plant. Magnum has to get it quickly, and with that kill taking too long, and indeed not even going his way, the round will fall to G2. A splendid round early on, and with Fnatic losing out on that one, their economy starts to get a little bit rougher.
Yeah, a few key moments in that round. The risk taken by Coldamenta to go straight back through the teleporter to flank them, and then also just the way that 2v2 was played. I feel like Avova, when it comes to controller players, might be one of, if not even the best when it comes to Europe. Like, he's just so unbelievably good with all of his utility, and, well, held it to the perfect moment just to make that so awkward for Fnatic. I think we're all looking at Nuki as that like huge addition with how much of a star he's been, but I genuinely think if anybody's going to change everything when it comes to G2, it'll be Avova. He's just the glue that brings his teams together.
And those ults that they wanted to compete for on Avova are now being challenged for. Fnatic realizing their mistake that Brimstone had his ult up so early means that, well, you might get a bit of a battle down in bat in those early rounds, but G2 wisely just completely give up that control, and through the smoke, Coldamenta gets dropped. That is some shot by Durka with the spam, but as Doma falls, the numbers are equalized. But look at the ultimates in play. We currently have a Viper's Pit online. Mystic doesn't want to use it right here. Instead, going to play more traditional post plants. They can delay further with the Hunter's Fury as well. So really, really good delays here towards bat. G2 need to take that control, and frankly, just need to hurry up getting in here with the post plant that Fnatic are playing. Time is going to be their biggest enemy, and having already taken down Boaster, they won't expect Magnum to be sat here inside that poison orb and ready to fire away, but he still doesn't get it done. Mystic already burned up his utility, so he goes forward, and here's Durka on the Hunter's Fury, but there's just too many players alive. They're gonna rush him down and take him out. Well handled by G2 from the get-go.
I'll be honest, I was thinking that Fnatic had that round. The way that they set up for all of the after plants, the amount of utility, as you mentioned, the ultimates that they had available to them. But G2 stay calm. They're very collected in just picking off the different players, even having the sort of slight change at the end to make sure that the player couldn't die while defusing the spike. Obviously, if you've dodged 2 of them, you know that the 3rd one's not going to kill a full HP player. And there was no panic there. They knew what they were doing from the get-go. So, yeah, superb stuff from them. They get themselves the 3rd round as expected, but this is where, again, things will get a little bit tougher because Fnatic now have a bye.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
The bait that comes in there. Putting down the recon arrow and swinging with it usually just grants you the control, but the timing was so good that an opening duel now resides with Fnatic. Orbital Strike online, Rolling Thunder, and Viper's Pit. Those are a bunch of very, very powerful ultimates for the attackers to have, but look at this. They're outside the A site. They've given up all control of B, as the defenders have. This is a heavy stack from G2 because they want to get that res online, but here's the Orbital Strike, not actually in on time to get the kill. So they've gotten away with the res, now trading into a 4v4, and somehow Nukia doesn't manage to hit that. It looked like it was dead on to me.
They're going back, though. There's no one on the B side, so this is just going to have to be a full retake from G2. The quick rotation available to Fnatic in this scenario is going to set them up almost perfectly, and a lot of the utility has already been used. Now we see the Viper's Pit thrown out, something you mentioned earlier, which is just going to give Mystic these perfect after-plant positions. And I said it yesterday when we were on Ascent, I feel like once this Viper's Pit goes down, it's just so hard to get him out of these positions.
Yeah, controlling the elbow, it's hard for you to even sneak behind him because it's such a choke point of an angle. Durka is even the one holding up close, and having a different player hold it is just so valuable because even if he dies, Viper's Pit doesn't fall down. Doma just closes that out inside of Hook, and Nukia has to save. A 1v3 up against Viper's Pit, up against the utility of shock darts, mollies, and snake bites that's still online. There's literally no way you're winning that without teammates to help you out. And so we will end up 3-3. We will be tied up. And this clash of giants maintains a very solid early foundation for both teams. This is pretty much neck and neck at this stage. I'm loving it.
It's what you want, isn't it? This is exactly what you want from this series. I know that there's a hell of a lot of G2 and Fnatic fans in the chat. I can see it going back and forth like, this team is trash. I hate this team. This is my team. I love this team. But realistically, like, be honest with yourselves. You want this game to go to 3 maps. You want this game to be as close as it can possibly be. Because what are you gonna do afterwards? Like, what were you going to do? You going to watch the other games? I doubt most of you will. I think you're sticking with this one all the way through. So I'm hoping for as close a series as we can get. And you know what? 3-3 does that quite well.
You know what? Just as we're in the lull of it for a moment, we did some predictions before we started the game. I asked you in chat, who will get more kills on map 1? Now, we've had over, 120,000 Michis committed to it, their channel points. And it looks like Durka, 63% of you think that he is going to be the one that top frags over Nukia. Interesting choice, because I'd say it's much more neck and neck. We'll see how that one goes on throughout the game. For now, it's been a push from Fnatic onto the B site, where G2 are just playing that retake.
They're concussed.
Set up for this previously. Now this time, okay, maybe they'll have a slightly easier job. There isn't a Viper's Pit available to them, and they're already starting to set up some of that utility. In fact, this time, we've actually witnessed Mystic use some of those snake bites a little bit more aggressively. They're not setting up for the afterplants. They're trying to hold on to the control. The timing couldn't have been better for Nuki, though. He's going to find one on the entry. Kellogg's alongside him, and it puts it into this 2 versus 3 scenario, but they need to find these remaining couple of players. One goes down, but it's only the trades, and another round comes onto the board for Fnatic.
The lead now within Fnatic's control in G2. Let's just check in on that economy. It ain't looking good. No ults to subsidize it either. You know, a showstopper, maybe the likes of an Orbital Strike can make a difference in these scenarios, but they don't have those. And so instead, they have to rely on the Sheriffs. A very light buy. I am surprised, Tom, that we're not seeing the Marshal a little bit more. It makes sense in a way if you think about the context of this map. There's a lot of close range angles that you can fight on, and the Sheriff will be able to reach one-shot headshot distance a lot of the time. So sure, it's just going to be a better weapon for the majority of engagements, but positioning one inside of Heaven, stuff like that, I thought we'd see at least the one make an appearance.
Maybe they want that extra little bit of cash. We know that some of the utility has changed only slightly. Every little helps. That's what someone says. Can't remember who. Not giving them a shout out. But
Yeah.
they need it. It's already going to be easy openers, though. So far, the pistol's not really achieving much whatsoever. Now, there is, again, a flank coming from Kellogg's, who's going to look to try and maybe sneak a kill or two, earn an ult point. We know how quickly you can earn Sky's ultimate. And see, this is the thing. I know that Avova lives Valorant. Like, it's just all day. His stream doesn't go down unless he's playing a professional match. I don't know how he manages to keep that level of energy up all day, but it's the Ferrari peaks. You just see it every time he swings. It's a headshot.
You know, one of the things I'll say, actually, on that Sheriff buy is, in general, thinking about the meta and on the economy, you kind of expect to see it a bit. But when you look at the comp that Fnatic are running, Tom, you're up against a Brimstone, a Viper, and an Astra. Those long-range angles that do exist, such as Heaven or Belong, are probably not going to be long-range. You're gonna be playing through or inside of smoke. So it makes a lot of sense then why they go for the Sheriffs instead. And they're definitely pretty powerful with them. But this time around, Fnatic do a good job of repelling them. And we have a defender's timeout coming in. G2 deciding to take a little bit of a breather coming into this very important buy round.
I think this is something I want to see a little bit more. I feel like a lot of teams either don't call pauses in the first half in particular, or if they do, it's when there's about like 2 rounds left, and then you're just sort of thinking like, well, what's the point? Like, you can't even win the half of that. But I've seen do it where they're like 6-something down, and you're just thinking, well, you can't win this half anymore. So I like that they've taken it a little bit earlier, given themselves some time to talk. I am questioning why Boaster. Well, what's Boaster buying? There we go. Okay. He didn't have a gun. I was thinking, is there something a bit spicier coming? But no, it is just going to be the Phantoms across the board, which we sort of mentioned yesterday. I feel like they might have taken a little something back from North America, because I'm not sure that was the norm, at least when we were watching the last VCT.
Yeah, as well with their ability on this map, as we said, for the same reason that the Sheriffs would be preferable over a Marshal, you can see that they can pretty much make every single fight a close range duel, and the Cosmic Divide helps even more so with that. It's going to cut both sites in half, not giving away their intention of which site they want to move towards. And Mixwell, oh, he is in trouble. There goes the snake bite, though. That's going to buy him a lot of time. In fact, it's going to guarantee that they can't push him down, but he can't get out of there either, as he eventually goes to cross, and Doma shuts him out, then waits for the TP and manages to take Kellogg's down. 4 versus 2 in a matter of seconds. The control has flipped heavily into Fnatic's hands, and they still haven't committed to a site. They have the ability to go back, and in fact, it's going to only be one player defending each of these. G2 very split right now, and Cole Dementa in trouble. Oh my god, that's stunned right onto him. The flash doesn't catch him. He's reset. Oh, they're not even going to clear him properly, and they almost end up losing more than just one player. Avova snuck onto the site too. They might think he's on A. The flash is there, but they still don't know that he's in position. This could be huge from Avova. The timing seems to have caught them off guard, but there they go. They get the good timing. They spot him on the backside, and now it doesn't seem like he's going to get a lot done.
He needs some sort of miracle to bring this one home now, especially with the positioning of the remaining players. You can see a bit of a fallback. He's trying to bait them into peek. You can see Doma, I was going to say jump spotting, but he actually just goes for a full-on peek in the end. Magnum very, very quick to trade. And a 6th onto the board for Fnatic. Of course, I think it's also worth premising this game. Like, we haven't really done it so much so far. Of course, we are still within the upper bracket. One of these teams, I believe, just goes straight through to what will be the first challenges. And then the loser has to play off against one of the teams in the lower bracket tomorrow. And that's literally a do-or-die game. Either you go through or you're out.
Yeah, and the teams that we've got here are pretty stacked, and I think we showed that with the game yesterday that Fnatic played, where Tenstar were still able to do a whole bunch. I think that we have to be honest, like you don't want to be going to the lower bracket. That's always the case, but especially with the caliber of teams that's around right now, the best chance of making it is to just dominate right here, and then you get to chill out. You get to look at the meta, probably prepare for KO. I presume he'll be in at that point. So there's actually a huge advantage to winning the game here today versus qualifying a little further down the line. It looks like we've got a tech pause here, Tom. A little bit of an issue creeping up, and well, hopefully they get that fixed soon. Although I'm sure G2 are also going to be happy to just have a bit of a breather here, because 6-3 down. We said it was neck and neck at one point, but now it's gone to the stage that we're going to need to see something from G2, or this half can slip away from them very, very quickly.
The chat's so quick now that normally this is where I'd go to the Fruit King and see what you had for us today. Like, for anybody who hasn't been here, there is a person who has now come over as the Fruit King and tells us what fruits are good or not. I will say Mitch basically disagreed with the Fruit King, as he put watermelon as number 1 on the list, and you don't agree with it. You're not a fan.
No,
am I correct?
Melons are disgusting. They're
I see the Fruit King. There we go. He's still here. Still lurking.
Still about. But yeah, man, I feel like let me just pull up the video again. What was it? It was Bind, Haven, Icebox on that. If you were to describe each of these maps, Tom, as a fruit, what would they be? Start with Bind.
What does that even mean?
What vibe? If you're sat on Bind and you go, I'm gonna have a fruit. What fruit is it? What does it feel? To me, it's like a date, right? Because I used to always be in Egypt. We had dates there.
Oh, I know
makes a lot
why.
of sense.
Because when you eat a date, you then need to teleport to the bathroom, because what it does to your stomach after you eat too many of them.
How can you eat too many dates? Dude, they're tiny. You'd have to eat a lot. No, it's not possible. So we've discovered Bind is a date. What's Haven? What's Haven to you?
Oh, I feel like I'm trying to think of maybe something like a pomegranate, because just when I eat it, I feel like there's too much going on. That'd be Haven to me.
Okay.
So you're thinking of map layouts, where I'm going a very different way with it.
For me, Icebox has to be a grape, because frozen grapes are goated. But you know what, guys? That's enough fruit talk. It's time to get back into the game. Rev the engines, or I guess we should turn the engines off. We don't want to give any sound cues away to the players, because we're about to kick it back off here on Bind. 6-3 was the score we left at. Fnatic were looking pretty damn good, and G2 hopefully be able to bounce back on this one, because it's starting to get a little bit scary. And of course, they do just have pistols right now, so this isn't even the round that we expect them to answer up in. We're probably looking at a 7-3 scoreline, and at that point, Tom, we need a pretty much flawless final 2 rounds from G2 to put themselves in a good position, or even an okay one.
That's the thing we've almost learned with Fnatic on this map, is that it doesn't really matter if they even have a weak attack, which is basically what they're known for. All of those after plants, that's what we speak about when we talk about Fnatic on this map. But then we saw Gambit manage to actually do very well versus them on the attack, and they still won that game with just phenomenal retakes. So there's no get out of jail free card. The only team that has ever beaten this roster on this map is Sentinels. So realistically, we want to see some sort of response from G2 now. Otherwise, we might as well start looking at Haven.
Oh, big words from Tom. You talking now, or are we talking the next round? Because, I mean, they've got Sheriffs. There's a Stinger.
Next 3 rounds. I want a 7-5.
Can we get an award to Evolve and get a trophy? The first man to actually buy a Stinger in VCT, I think. And he has not had a good time with it. Rolling, thundered, orbital strike, and shot by Mystic. But Nukie, he's creeping up behind us. Very little time left. 10 seconds on the clock. Nukie actually manages to stop that spike line, get some kills. And G2, they're way back ahead. The spike's on the floor, and it's done. They've actually won it with the pistols. We were counting them out of this round almost completely. And they've put 4 on the board, answering up here and now, Tom. G2 are back in the game.
There you go. I said it. I wanted an answer now. You just didn't believe. That's what it was. The worst thing about that was 2 ults invested, right? In an eco from Fnatic. So they put in a Rolling Thunder, an Orbital Strike. They got a double entry, and then they lost? Like, what? that play from Nuki was insane. But again, that's why we rate him so highly. When he was in Heretics, he was a god. It's looking like, well, big surprise. He still is, but that was a ludicrous play. And of course, Mixer then just finishes it off with a couple of wonderful Sheriff kills. There's so much talent on G2, no doubt about that, but that was definitely a shock round. How does Boaster, like, jump up on a corner and then still hit the headshot? Like, come on, man.
I'm blown away by that previous round. It's like G2 just robbed the bank, but yeah, Boaster's gotten away with highway robbery on that one, putting the man advantage into Fnatic's favor. Goldamenta, oh, he's in trouble. Yeah, that drone kind of ruined his plan of potentially going in for the mid peaks, and expecting a one-way to make its way on top of that box any moment now, but it doesn't look like it's on the way. Maybe it is a bit too late because the peak's already in. Doma able to take both of these guys down, and that was one fault line hit them both by the looks of things. Now getting that plant in, it's a 5v2. G2 probably thinking about the last round rather than winning this one because their chances are pretty damn slim.
They had a Gravo even just to catch him as he tried to run away. Like, that's just a beautiful execution from Fnatic. Like, they basically thought of every single way you could escape. Like, you're trying to run through all these different traps that have been set, an obstacle course put up just to try and get to the bathrooms, and it's not happening. That was excellent. And that's what we know, as said, Fnatic for. Like, they are constantly innovating this game. Now, for now, it's some exits. They've managed to bring this into a 2 versus 3, but the time is too far gone. There's no real chance for Mixwell to do anything. Considers using a snakebite just to try and hold the remaining players in, but they have gone in the other direction. And in fact, Magnum will even die to the spike, so at least making it a bit more costly. I don't think it's going to play much of a part in this next round, as I'm sure Fnatic should have enough cash anyway, but maybe it might make it the difference between a piece of utility missing, or there's something extra at least.
No, they've got lots of cash.
No way.
Yeah, they off that streak, they won 5 out of 6 rounds, and a lot of them were decently clean. So that one upset versus the Pistols, that ain't really going to trouble them. The one thing that it did trouble was the ult economy, because you see coming into the final round, they can have Cosmic Divide, they can have Hunter's Fury, and other than Viper's Pit, that's it. So the high value of Rolling Thunder and Orbital Strike are out of the game for what was a loss versus an eco. Pretty big. Whereas G2, I see a showstopper in play, and sure, Nuke might have been robbed the last time he used it. Again, looked bang on to me, but somehow those players evaded it. I don't feel like they'll be so lucky this time around, Tom. Nuke doesn't miss twice.
No, it's unlikely. I would definitely bet against it, but you know, we'll see. We'll see. It happens every once in a while. Now they've gone for the extra players over on to B in the early stages of the round, but I assume, based on the utility being placed on the other side of the map, they're actually going to rotate an extra player over. Mixo, he has to get a kill here, but does Boaster expect him? It's all been a bait. The screen he throws down is just trying to pull him forward. And now they've lost what is, well, I was going to say the majority of their smokes, but then I remember how many controllers are actually on the Fnatic side. I think they'll be okay.
Oh, Nuke is up close, but he's getting shut down. The showstopper now out of the round completely. Kellogg's flashed up and dealt with, and this A defense yet again seems to be just crumbling. The final remaining defender being Avova, who's now smoked off, considering the peek around. And there's the Viper's Pit. That's going to allow him to spray pretty much for free with his Phantom. He gets the one, but then shut down right after. Mixwell through the smoke trades it back, and this is winnable yet again. Hunter's Fury online for Fnatic. That's going to help them in the post plant. They need to be very, very careful. Actually, look at the HP on these G2 players. If they don't take too much damage in the initial fight, they can still tank the Hunter's Fury. So Doma needs to get something done here, or the round is going to fall apart. There's the Hunter's Fury pop. Doma knows now that they're both off the spike. He's being pushed down on and loses out the duel. Durka needs to peek wide. He's got 33 HP, no time and no life anymore, because Mixwell's brought a big 4K into the last round of the half. It is 7-5 going on to the defending side for Fnatic. And considering they won the pistol, Tom, this still remains pretty much neck and neck.
I think the streak of 4 rounds definitely put things in doubt, but Man, that's some good. I think the thing that's impressed me most, especially with how minimal the amount of time we've seen the practice of this squad, obviously all the changes that have happened. Like we sort of spoke about it earlier, that this is a completely new team other than Mixwell. But I think you also have to talk about the fact that Mixwell is playing a completely different role. Like this is nowhere near what he was doing before. Still putting in some high impact rounds though, a 4K in this one, and some decent retakes and synergy between the players. So. Yeah, consider me impressed, especially when you remember who they're up against. So this is the team from EU when it came to the second Masters. So back the law. Oh, Doug, that's risky. He did not expect anyone to peek him there.
The first loss of the pistol round. And now we go in the favor for G2. It would do a lot if they can manage to win this. Pretty much equalize up the score lines for them right off the bat. Fnatic still not fully sure where this hit's going to be coming in. They have 2 players on the B side. Boaster seems set to get that information. There it is. He spotted 2. They can always take the teleporter, and indeed they will. Going all the way around and taking bath control. This seems like a very telegraphed play, though, and indeed it is, because it's a fake. G2 want to go to B, but Fnatic haven't fallen for it either.
No, Magnum's pushed up into the bathrooms. If anything, this just gives them the key that it's not going to be an A hit unless they've doubled back into mid. So unless they're going to try and do a ring around the Rosie and go back through the teleporter again, Fnatic know what's going on.
30 seconds
Oh yeah,
left.
they've got that information to play with, and Boaster in a sneaky position if Mystic fires off. Even if he doesn't, Boaster's going to catch them off guard. Good for one to start it off. Doma with another, and they walk right by Mystic, but luckily it gets checked still by Avova, and another fallen player. It's Magnum all alone after Shock to work with here, and he's going to pop it out. Avova needs to move out of the way, and he's got barely any time. 6 seconds on the clock. Magnum is just running it down. No time anymore. He has to find the fight. He has to run after. And Adi in the corner. Magnum will just about get away with it. 8-5, the last second, and he finds the kill. Whew, that was close.
There's so many things to mention in that round. Firstly, it has to be pointed out that Magnum was the person who gave them the information in the first place and was the last man to get into that site. So the fact that he clutches out in the end is huge. But also, how did Doma survive in the middle of the site as long as he did? Like, it doesn't make sense. He just seems to be ducking and weaving, finding kills as he does it while being completely surrounded by players. Superb stuff from Fnatic, a team that almost became the meme of losing pistols. They've got both.
Maybe they've fixed it. That's been their primary focus in the downtime. It gives you a huge advantage, and provided they don't lose to this eco, you'll see that in the form of basically a 4-round lead over G2 before taking any buy rounds into consideration. And that's, I mean, that's all that's separating them basically at this point. So
Enemy tag.
godsend for them in such a close game. I do wonder though, G2 strike me as a team now with the roster that they've got, that on the attack side they'll be incredibly strong. So I don't think it's going to be quite so clear cut for Fnatic, and really they need to be walking out of this round with pretty much all their players alive.
They may only have one duelist, but Duelist has been one of the best players in Europe since pretty much the beginning of this game. So I'm definitely in belief that they can pull this one back. Now Doma
30 seconds
is
left.
going to be smoked off, but he's in position here. Not a lot of time left, but they're going to try and get themselves at least a plant and a little bit of extra cash. But there's still a lot of utility available for Fnatic. They love setting up for these retakes. We're already going to see the aftershock going through. But you can, I was going to say you can tank the first blast. You can't tank 2 though, Coldamenta.
An ambitious play, we will say. Oh, the shock dart with the flash. Good night, sweet dreams. Kellogg's is out of here. Still, no player dropped over on the Fnatic side. They're doing well. And it looks like they might finish that way. Indeed, a flawless round from Fnatic. Putting 9 on the board and making sure that they can definitely play a bonus round coming into the next.
Flawless.
Yeah, as said, this is something that impressed me even when we were looking up against the likes of Gambit, which I think comparatively to what we're looking at from G2 right now, we're a team that has been together a very long time, has incredible synergy and individual skill, and Fnatic were doing exactly the same against them in the retakes. They're just exceptional at coming in together and basically just working their way through the site methodically. We saw all the different pieces of utility, the shock darts thrown through, the aftershock to make the plant awkward. Like, they just have a plan in all of these rounds. So it's not like with a lot of teams where you almost feel like the after plant is the be all and end all. Versus Fnatic, you really have to be so strong in those after plant positions.
There.
Oh, wow. Okay, the firing squad off the bat. And I don't know how Durka survived as long as he did. One way to make weaker weapons work, but a good trade by G2 to pull it into the man advantage. Now remember, Fnatic's goal here is to get probably 3 kills. If they manage that, that's a successful round on a bonus. You don't expect to win these when you have Spectres, but you'll still give it your damn best shot. And G2 showed us earlier that, never mind Spectres, you can win it with pistols if you really want. Now, completely isolated here is Mixwell in Bathroom, and Magnum has pushed the full way through. They know that they haven't cleared out Bathroom, but with the presence on B, they might not end up clearing it, and Mixwell could have a really early flank, a really unsuspected flank on these players.
In terms of the round, though, I think the most clinical thing is whether or not Dome is going to be able to do anything in this spot. Only with a Spectre in hand, as you mentioned, Molotov will at least buy a little bit of extra time. And I think you are correct in saying that Ixor's flank could be perfect, but instead they go back, and that could be a problem. Now Magnum's watching and has spotted those players as they look to wrap around. Of course, Mixwell called it, it's clear, doesn't know that anybody's lurking in the back lines, but they don't expect him to be as deep in the site as he is. It leaves seconds left to get that spike down, but the remaining 2 players shouldn't be able to do anything about it with the current spot, and Mixwell just blocking off, making sure there's no opportunity for the remaining couple of players to get kills. 4 players alive, no shenanigans this time from Fnatic, and a much cleaner start to the half for G2.
Yeah, most definitely 6-9. I mean, when you look at how things went in the previous half, it's identical, right? Again, for those of you at home, the names at the moment are swapped. So if you look at the timeline in the middle, it's upside down, essentially. So Fnatic won the pistol, they won the follow-up, and then they lost 3 rounds in a row. Now, again, G2 have been very good at bouncing back and repelling that bonus round. But here's the buy round that they need to deal with as well. And it might not be so easy because Fnatic have so much money to work with. They didn't need to invest anything into the previous round. And now they have everything they could possibly want. Kellogg's. Oh, he is in danger here. The flash, though, should deter them from peeking further. That's a lot of utility baited out for 1 flash.
And all in all, worth it. He's managed to get his ultimate. So that's the Seekers pulled into this round. As I said, it's one of the cheapest we currently have in Valorant. Only 6 points needed to have that ult in play. And I do question if they're about to maybe try and get a little bit closer to having that showstopper available as well. A clear plan for G2 on this attack side to challenge for those orbs. On the Fnatic side, they're about to be pressured on B by the looks of it.
Oh, they're about to be heavily pressured. Durka can't even get back out to the site. There's a perfect example of an orbital strike used to clear 2 corners and keep anybody from pushing out. It doesn't get a kill, but it's immensely valuable, and Boaster's quick rotation might end up costing him his life. Avova catches him coming out of astral form, and a man advantage now sits comfortably with the attackers. Nukia even managing to avoid being spotted by that drone, and so up on top, he will have an angle, although he doesn't manage to find the kill off the back of it. G2 need to make a decision on where they're going, and it looks like that spike is on its way towards the B site. Big bait.
They've thrown it in. The teleport has been used, but they don't expect... Darker, never mind! Over with the 180 headshot. That's the difference maker. You give Durka that first kill, and I'd bet anything I have that he would have got more than 1. But the second he's cleared out, round over. That's it.
Yep, exactly. The 1 versus 4 is unwinnable for Magnum right now, and the round goes to G2. This round is making me very happy because there was no secret back in the beta days up until the end of G2's reign that I wasn't a fan of how they played necessarily. I think their mid-round was incredible, the way that they worked off each other, but the lack of cohesive structure always hurt me. Looking at this here, G2's plan... They've done something that we always critique teams for ignoring, which is Fnatic love to take bathroom control. They love to fight for this because of the orbs, especially with this composition. When you can get the orbital strike, the rolling thunder, these ults online are so valuable. But G2 have the same. If anything, they probably have a better set of ultimates to use in terms of round-to-round impact. And they go and fight for it in the early stage. They steal that ult orb from under their nose and cause a whole bunch of utility to be used up, which is just leagues better than what we had seen from the old roster back in the day. And I think I'm already starting to become a fan of this team.
I think as well, like, one of the other criticisms that was always there is it seems like almost like the too many cooks. Like, there were too many people seemingly making calls. Now we know that they brought in Coda Mentor, a set in-game leader. They tried to do the same with Ozzy, which I actually do still think was an improvement, even though it didn't necessarily work as well as they would have done. At least it seemed like they have a plan. But more importantly, from what we've seen so far in their attack, for me, I agree, they've had all these setups in the early round, but it's their mid-rounds that have got me excited. Like, with 15, 20 seconds left, they're still willing to make quick changes. And it doesn't look like there's any hesitation on what players should be doing. Mixor selling a fake, the other three instantly going into B. They knew what the plan was, which when you have even just two people talking about, okay, are we going to do this? Are we going to do this? You've already lost that round. So bringing in Coda Mentor, okay, sure, he might be bottom of the board, but who cares if those calls are going to be working out for them?
Coda Mentor. I remember him back in the day. My battalion brother. He's doing well. Always good to see them succeed. The Kellogg's as well. He's been pretty impressive. You know, coming out, I think, for a lot of people that watch EU Valorant maybe wouldn't have been too familiar with Kellogg. Certainly when you look at the name brand that is on a lot of these kind of top 5 teams, he might have evaded you, but definitely been a lot of whispers around that he was someone to keep an eye on, although he may not have made it to mainstreams all that often, and now showing up big on this Sky. I've enjoyed watching him so far. It looks like we've got a bit of a...
Yeah, I will say I'm quietly excited for his jet. Like, I've seen a few things here and there that I think that it's one. I feel like there's very good Sky players, and like some of them are even in this server. Fnatic as well. Definitely happy to pull that out. Magnum has worked some wonders with that agent before, but at the same time, I just think that nowadays, especially with all the utility that you can purchase, all the counters to Jet, like, just someone who can just pull out ridiculous rounds, and also just the chance as well that if we do end up on Icebox, we are going to probably get a Kellogg's versus Durka show, which I think, as long as there's no, like, changes within these teams over the next year, I think it'll be something that we're looking forward to every single time it happens.
That's fine by me. At the moment, the battle of Nukier versus Durka is still raging on. We'll see how that one transpires. As we come into round number 17, Tom, there's a little bit of waning weaponry on the Fnatic side, but they have that orbital strike to play with. Indeed, contrary to what the UI might be telling you, there is no Viper's Pit online right now. They are one ult orb away from it. Big TP from G2. They're going to start moving over, and this is something I actually think G2 use these TPs and are faking more than any team that I've seen. Honestly, their attack side seems to be mind games on mind games, and it's confusing me at times, so I'm a fan.
Yeah, at least it's going to distort your enemies with the amount of sound that's just being made. Maybe if you add in a Euro, it will be a few more noises made.
I don't know, man. Let's just go mad. Oh, wow.
Just make it nice and loud in this server. Green wall! It's back!
30 seconds
The green wall returns. Someone shoot it. Let's see if it goes back to blue after a bullet. I feel like it's an Easter egg. It just seems like such a random thing to be random. And indeed, as it gets hit at the orbital strike, it goes back to its blue color. And so does the kill feed. Magnum taking himself a quick double and punishing G2. They're on site, and they've got the spike planted. That res going to be challenged right away, but it goes towards G2's favor. Avova answering up onto Boaster, but now he's trapped and being hunted by the Spectres. He will be eliminated, and Mystic, left in the 1v1, doesn't know that Nukia is so aggressive in holding that angle. Putting 8 on the board for G2. They're closing in on Fnatic's lead despite both pistols going their way, and a 4-0 early half start off the back of those pistols. With the two halves combined, G2 are only trailing by 1.
If they win this with losing both pistols, that will be a statement and a half. But I know that there's a lot of Fnatic and G2 fans here, but to say there's some people who haven't seen the history of this Fnatic roster, they have lost this map since they added Durka and Magnum once. And that was to Sentinels in, I think that was the grand final, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the only time they've ever lost this map. If they now lose it to G2, with the iteration of this roster just really being created, that would be one of the biggest statements you could ever make coming back into the VCT. So I am excited. Hello. Free kill for Mixwell. I feel like he's just been annoying in the second half. Just lurking around on that Viper, creating problems, and then they just teleport away, and Doma, he's left on his own. And with how good he is with this Sheriff, I'm almost a little bit disappointed that, oh, there's someone waiting in the teleporter. I think he expects it, tries to even pre-fire one of the walls, but he's going to be caught off by his doppelganger.
One thing that's also worth mentioning, Tom, is that the time that they lost this map to Sentinels, it was 16-14. It's not like Fnatic got smashed by them. They have long been a strong bind team with their old roster, even stronger with this one. And for G2's new roster, which consists of one of the previous players, half of Heretics, Kellogg's and Gordamenta, bringing what they do, I really feel like it's better than a honeymoon period. It's one of the best things you could it's the best probably you could hope for swinging on into VCT. And at 9-9, they're damn close to getting it done. A very slow start. And you notice at this point, Tom, Fnatic, they're playing quite caged. They didn't go in for that control over a bathroom like they normally do, instead conceding it to G2 and giving a free ult orb away. Now Seekers and Orbital Strike online for the attacking side.
They put a hell of a lot of stars down over on it as well. It takes a little bit longer to get those back after you retrieve them as well, especially if you then go to utilize them if someone pushes in. And I question whether or not we're about to see Mixwell try and fake this one out once again. You do have Durka ready and waiting, watching, but here come the Seekers, pushing straight through, already going to give that information away, although he's destroying them quick enough that I question if it's going to be a problem. Orbital Strike also used, but guess what, Mitch? They're on the road back towards the A site again.
That they are. They love their fakes, but it looks like Fnatic might have an idea. There's 3 players in position. Orbital Strike not online, sadly. That could be a huge difference maker if it was. But Mixwell, look at this, sneaking on in. Oh, he's going to actually catch off one, and now the Hunter's Fury has to be cancelled early. Or no! In fact, it's going to be a free kill. Mixwell just charging forward. Boaster wants to try and deny the plant, but he can't get it done. A 2-man advantage for G2, plus post plants. Fnatic want this round, but it's just not possible anymore. Mystic pretty much has to save at this point. Surely he doesn't go for this.
Well, it looks like he's given it a go. Already taking a play into the site. He's been held off at least by the snake bites for a second. And Kellogg's is in behind to just put that final nail in the coffin. I'll be honest with you, Mitch. Coming into this roster, I saw all the changes. I was like, okay, we've now got a switch up of a move to Sentinel for Mixwell. I was like, okay, how's that going to go? Like, how realistic? Like, going from what was a Jet playing a bit of Raze here and there to moving over to a Sentinel. I was like, well, basically a Sentinel. I guess technically not on this map. He's playing a controller, but I feel like it's similarly played. And it's going really well. Like, his lurks so far have been incredible. He's taken so much map control. He's been one of the main creators for them being able to go for a lot of these switches, because not only is he taking over a lot of the time on his own, but he's also just staying alive in positions where you feel like he should be traded out by some of the Fnatic members. I don't know. This almost looks like a new lease of life for Mixwell when he didn't even necessarily need it. Like, we still put him as the star player of the squad for quite a long time.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, when you're playing the Jet operator, of course you're going to get that mantle, and then moving further on, it's sort of just stuck, especially statistically. It's stuck anyways. But at this point, I'm loving his Viper. I think it's interesting to see him adapt to that new role, and something that we've long critiqued or long stated, that players need to have that extra depth. You need to be able to do more than just the one thing, and I think this is almost evidence of it. You could say it's working all right. 19-11 right now. I mean, the question asked in chat was Durka or Nukia. Which one of those two would have the most kills? Still a very even battle, but I didn't expect Mixwell's Viper to yield such high results.
Well, luckily you didn't say who has the most kills in the game and then put those two down. It would have been a decent guess at the beginning, but at least for now, it seems like Mixwell's running the show. Now we're going to see them take over at least some aspect of the site, but when you look at the remaining players of GT, like, I feel like I'm almost having to start to work out where they're going. Like, okay, they've started off over on A, but there's people waiting outside B, so that means they're probably going to go B and then maybe go back through the teleporter and go A anyway. Is that the plan?
You're a brave man to try and anticipate this, and I imagine that Boaster's brain is even hurting and attempting to comprehend what his opponents are doing. Right now, he's just stood outside that Viper's pit, staring in, wondering how many enemies await him. And it looks like his foes have been spotted, at least 3 towards B. Doma in a bit of trouble here on the long-range duel with the Sheriff. And Mixwell, he was almost in trouble
30
himself.
seconds left.
Manages to sneak away, giving away the fact that there is still control here, and they're rotating. They're fully committing to this, Tom. G2 love their mind games, but there's still 2 guys in position. Fnatic haven't been so... What was that? What? I mean, he can see him on radar, I guess, but that was disgusting. And now Magnum, go on, get him through the smoke as well, Mixwell. He's just having one of those rounds. He's tagged him up massively, and he just keeps on going, man. The wall protecting him from the flash. He's on for the ace, and he's gonna get it done as well. Mixwell,
Wow.
top fragging the server, and he just keeps on rolling with it. 11-9. G2 are feeling good.
Okay, no matter how big a Mixwell fan you are, don't lie and tell me you thought his Viper would be this good. This is ridiculous. He is schooling Fnatic at the moment. This is our best. This is our EMEA representative, or one of them at least. They're winning on their best map. I am blown away. If they don't close this out now, I'll almost be a little bit sad.
Well, Boaster's going to be having words with you after that comment, Tom, but I won't say I agree, but I can see where you're coming from. No, 11-9. This has been a fantastic game from G2 so far, and let's be very clear on this. This is the round that could win it for them. It's a full buy for Fnatic. They've invested in. G2 guarantee themselves an overtime by claiming this one here right out of the smoke. Mixwell, he is feeling it, running in, stunned up as he was. And now we're looking damn good. The plant in for G2. Mixwell keeps going, man.
No.
Somebody stop this guy. He's trapped under heaven and still good for a third. Out for more. And robbed of an ace purely by his teammates getting kills. It's Durka running for the hills. He's out of here. But Kellogg's again. That nasty player coming up behind. Looks like Durka was ready, but at this point, it's just a consolation prize. He's running for the hills to save the weapon because it is 12-9, and Fnatic, they're in a pretty shaky spot economically, with G2 only needing 1 more of these attack rounds where they've looked so damn good.
Oh, it almost feels like the Jaws theme should be playing right now. He's being hunted. Just down from behind. Is he gonna check? Easy stuff for Mix. 9 kills in 2 rounds. Wow. In 2 rounds. It just hit a whole new level. He's 28-11.
And it wasn't even an eco that he did it to. It was like a comfortable Spectre, Sheriff. They had armor, like they had stuff to work with, not a full eco. It wasn't classics that he aced. And then versus a full buy, I cannot believe that he just ran out onto the site like that. They had flashed back site, so I guess he thought, oh, this player will be full blind. He wasn't, but still, he gets all 3 kills in that and then finishes with a 4K. It's disgusting. It really and truly is. Mixwell outshining someone like Nukia. And on a Viper at that, 12-9. We move on, Tom, and this could well be the final round.
Oh, Durka, he's already knocked down so desperately low, just trying to escape out. The slow, and give him just that at least. Vova's still looking to put pressure on, but we know there's that TP behind them. They've been utilizing them the majority of the round. In terms of ultimates available, we still see that Viper's Pit, of course, is being farmed up pretty much. Mystic spot, though. This could be... How's he know? He didn't even check anywhere else. Just swing straight out. Mixo again.
God.
He's just on fire. I think that's his 30th kill in this game, dominating Fnatic, and now it's left Durka down to just 16 HP, a 12 HP even, a 1 versus 5. This is done. Bind for the second time ever in Fnatic's history with this roster is going to be taken away by what is a brand new G2.
And Mixwell to get the final
Attackers
kill.
win.
It suits. It really does fit the series.
Wow.
31 kills to close that one out if our math isn't absolutely